Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. I'm so happy you are joining me this evening. Yes, happily, I am here with you, and we are Friday night. Friday night. It is indeed a Friday night, and I've been doing a lot of quizzes and such recently, as you could probably imagine. And the quizzes that I've been doing, some of you may have noticed the quizzes that I've been doing, they have been trying to get you to, I guess, understand how to chat better, right? How to have conversations, better conversations. And I do want us to have better conversations. These quizzes allow you to kind of do that. And that's why I've been bugging you. So today I'm going to ask you yet again to please like and comment and share and do those things, because these quizzes make us think. They create good conversations. And today's quiz is one on identity politics and political correctness. We haven't been talking about that a lot, have we? We have, right? And I want us to be able to, have those conversations, because you know that often when we have them, boy, do they get aggressive and angry and blaming and you're bad and all those things. Here, we don't do that. You know that, right? We are openly talking about the things because I want us to have those open conversations, right? I really want us to have open conversations, and I want us to be able to say what we feel. So I want to walk down this one. If you want to see what I'm going down, please click the link that is there. It is the Identity Politics and Political Correctness survey. Yes, from my sponsors, the advocates, of course, the advocates for self-government and theadvocates.org. So please feel free to visit that site and check out all the cool quizzes they have. This one is a new one. So I'm going to take this survey. It should be a couple of minutes, but I'm going to walk down all the questions here on the survey. I'm going to start right now. See if I can get it up here, and there we go. All right. Question one, how do you identify? I'm going to identify as other because I tend to, but don't do that. You want to identify any way you want. Age group, I am over 50. That is who I am, absolutely. Let's see. I am male, right? That's how I identify. Identify as you would like, obviously. Politically, I guess I'm a libertarian. Yes, I am absolutely libertarian. Question number 5, when you get into the goodies here. Claims about systemic racism should primarily be, so this is how we think about claims of systemic racism. Answer 1, supported by the best available statistics and evidence. 2, accepted as the voices of the oppressed and their lived experience. Or 3, downplayed because such claims are getting way overblown. You know, I can see an argument for all 3 of these. I can, right? If people have pain or feel oppressed, we should listen, right? I mean, if people feel it, I think we should listen, right? Maybe we don't understand where their pain was. And I remember a specific example in my life was Native Americans. Where I grew up in New York City, very few Native Americans. I didn't understand some of the troubles that they had gone through. So when I joined the Marine Corps is when I met a couple of Native American people, and they started to talk about it. I became more kind of aware of the troubles that some of the Native Americans are still going through today. I knew the history, obviously, but today I didn't really get it. So I think that we should hear them. Absolutely. But the second part too is, you know, are they getting overblown? Is everyone's an example, because I'm overblowing it now. Are too many people becoming the victim? So I could see both sides of that type of argument. I can. But of course, I'm going to go with the one which, to me, this one seems obvious to me, even though I can feel both sides. It should be supported by the best available statistics and evidence, right? If it is systemic, then there would be evidence, right? If it is systemic, then there'll be stats. There'll be evidence. So I have to go with supported by the best evidence available. So, yes. So, okay. Sam already jumps in. He says, a helpful reminder to all, listen to understand, not to respond. Thank you. I'm putting it up. Yes. Thank you. If you know where someone's coming from, their concerns, we can make our points better than blame, shout, yell. Yeah. Yeah, Sam, it's a good point. I don't even have to believe that this is real. I could think it's overblown. I could even believe that, but I should hear them. Totally right. Yes, absolutely. Tom says, I can already tell I wouldn't do well with this quiz. There's no pass or fail, Tom. You do. That's what I love about these tests. These quizzes are good. These surveys are good because there's no pass or fail. It's just, let's have a conversation and think about this. These are issues we have to deal with, Tom, right? People are throwing identity politics in our face all the time. So there is no good or bad. Question 6. When someone says power, in quotes, with reference to a society, which of the following is closest to your conception? Okay. 1. The means by which majority groups oppress minority groups. That is power. That is right. That's power, right? If any majority group oppresses a minority group. And here in New York, we had, they beat up the Mormons, right? In the 1800s, majority to minority group. That is a form of power. Actually, they killed Joseph Smith. So that's a part of it. Next, the means by which authorities force people to comply. Yeah, we're seeing that now with lockdowns, right? Also power, absolutely. The means by which media companies are able to silence or deplatform dissenting voices. Man, do I feel that one. I feel all three. I think all three are true, right? Think about when it comes to majority. Think about how the two major parties crushed the libertarians. That's power. Media companies shadow ban me and people like me all the time. That's the media one. But I guess I have to go with the one that says just authorities, right? Because authorities is kind of overall. That would include whatever majority group, and that would include media companies, right? Isn't that well, does it include media? Media's authority, right? I think in this case, look, power is about the authorities, right? Either the majority group, if it's in power, or the media companies, if they're running things and shutting things down. And media, I include what I'm on now, whether you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. I think it's that too, right? I'm going to go with authorities because it's more, in my view, it covers more. That's what I'm going with. All right. John posts, stats and evidence over arbitrary feelings. Yeah. And I'm going to go with what Sam said too, though, John. I do want to hear the feelings, right? I want to hear the feelings so I know how to respond with the facts, with the stats and evidence. I got to hear the feelings first. Otherwise, I wind up not being able to respond effectively, and then they don't hear my facts. So, question 7. Which of the following closely aligns with your beliefs about gender identity and common facilities, such as restrooms or locker rooms that are open to the public? Number 1, all people should be able to choose their gender identity and thus accordingly which facilities they would like to use. Now that's a tricky one for me because I agree with the first one completely. The second one, I'm not sure I'm buying the second one, right? The first one I agree with. I think people should choose whatever you identify with. I don't care. All you enjoy, good, any way you like. I don't mind that at all. Good on you. As long as someone is, as I always say, and I will always focus on this, consenting adult, I'm good. You do you, no worries. You are an adult, you are consenting, do what you feel you want to do. I'm all good with that. But which facilities they would like to use, that would mean that someone else would be able to decide what I do in my facility, right? So does someone else decide what? That's a tough one. And I've seen private companies do something that's pretty cool. Like I've seen companies have separate bathrooms or restrooms that will say things like, there's like a picture of a blob and it goes, whatever you want. So you could just, anybody could go in, it's fine. But right, that's your own company and you can do as you feel. And I remember one company had 3 of them. It had male, female, and then literally said like whatever or whoever or do you or something like that. So there were 3 bathrooms they actually made. And one was the whatever you want bathroom, whoever, enjoy. And then the other 2 were standardized male, female. Interesting. So I'm balking on the second part of this. Next one. Owners of facilities that are open to the public should be able to set their own policies about who can use such facilities. Well, yeah. Yes, but then does that mean you could do the whites only thing, right? Are we saying if we go down that road, are we doing, or is this only, no, this is only related to gender. Okay, so that doesn't work, right? So that doesn't, that's okay. So that does, in this case, we're not talking race. We're talking just gender identity. Is there a difference? That's a tough one too, right? I mean, I do want that. Let me go to the next one. Gender is determined at birth, so the law should direct people to use facilities according to what is written on the birth certificates. So this goes to the idea of you're changing the idea between gender and sex. And if any of you have been paying attention to what most people are talking about now, they're making gender and sex two separate things. That sex is more biological and gender is more identity. Yeah, I'm not really up to speed on everything here. I can't do the last one. That's a no. The top two are maybes. I'm torn between the top two. But the problem is I don't like the fact that for the first one where it says all people should be able to choose their gender identity, I agree with, and that's the only which facilities they like to use. Now I'm taking away the power of the individual owner. But the other one, I worry about the slippery slope thing. I'm being bad. I'm doing slippery slope. I hope this conversation's valuable to you because I'm trying to really think where my head would go. And so you see how I think and where my brain goes to and how I would walk down and deal with the problem. Of these three, I have to go with facilities. Understanding that maybe there's a slippery slope that I wouldn't like, and maybe we have to worry about that in some way, shape, or form. So Doug says, post a link, please. The link is actually in the description and also going at the bottom. Both of those two. Please check that out. Absolutely. John says, second option is decentralized and for private property. Yes, and that's the one yeah, you're right, John. My libertarianism came out. Because I think when I was concerned, I defaulted to my libertarian views where I defaulted. You're right, I did. But I was, I wanted to care about other people. I did. But when I was in trouble, I did fall back to libertarianism. It's true, I did. Absolutely. So Josh says unisex. I like unisex. I'm in. I'm with you, John. I'm with you. Yes. Andrew says nuance is everything when it comes to these issues. Precisely why government should not be involved. Nicely done, Andrew. Nicely done. Yes. Government does not do nuance well at all. No. All right, next question. What is your opinion about transgender women and girls, those designated male at birth, playing sports against women and girls, those designated female at birth? 1, it's unfair for biological women and girls. It's unfair to biological women and girls and should never be allowed. I get that argument too. Right? Why do we separate sports by sex and then allow gender? Right? If we're going to make the gender sex difference, if that's going to be how we speak, if we're going to say no, sex is different than gender, if that's what we're saying, then I've always assumed that sports were divvied up not by gender, but by sex. So if they're divvied up by sex, your gender identity shouldn't play here. Am I wrong with this logic? That's where my head goes, right? Is that logic faulty? So I think that works. But then does that mean if you get the full operation, would you still wouldn't be biological, would you? This is a tough one for me. But I also feel the unfairness, right? I feel the unfairness in it. And maybe this is just my feelings. Maybe John's gonna be mad at me because my arbitrary feelings aren't stats and evidence. But it's true. It feels wrong to me. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe my feelings don't matter in this case. I'm just being forward with you. It does feel wrong. I feel like it's not going to go well for women and girls who are trying to do great in their own worlds, right? Almost like the what do many women who are what's the phrase? TERF. Oh God, trans exclusive radical feminist. That's what a TERF is for those you don't know. Many of the TERF arguments are that it's a destruction of female safe spaces. That feels right to me, but I could be wrong. I mean, am I then making it? Am I making this tough one? Let me move on to the next one. I'm torn on this one. Let me move to the next one. It should question number two. Answer number two. It should be the decision of private sports leagues, but not allowed in public schools. So if a private sports league wants to do it, a public school can't or shouldn't. Not allowed. So not shouldn't, can't. So you would stop it in public schools, but allow it in private sports leagues. Is the argument here because the government assigns birth, therefore a government school, assigns sex at birth, therefore the government school has to keep to what it says? Right? I'm not sure where the argument is here. Why is it good in one and not in the other? Maybe because, public schools because I don't have a choice, right? Because I have to go to a public school and I'm paying for it. But if it's private, they do what they want. So you could do it, you couldn't do it in, say, maybe a high school sports. You couldn't have transgender girls play. But if you wanted to go into, I don't know, the WNBA, you could do it. This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me. Next. It is progress for those transgender women and girls be recognized as they see themselves. I actually don't buy that one. This one I don't buy. And I don't buy this one because you can be recognized as whatever gender you want without having to play sports, right? I don't think that's, I look at it, similar to like the military, right? As an example, it's a choice, it's voluntary. If I'm too overweight and or if I have a genetic issue, I'm born with something, a genetic heart defect or something, I can't be in the military, right? You might say, well, no, you should let people who have this physical thing that they can't be in the military, they should have a right to serve. I disagree with that. It's voluntary. So sometimes you can't do that, right? I'm only 5'11". The odds of me going to the NBA in today's world, slim. I could have, like in theory, if I tried hard enough, but maybe not. I don't buy this one. This one, look, I'm not against transgender women doing things, whatever. It's fine, but not everyone gets to be a professional athlete. Me either, right? I don't get to be. Not everyone gets to be a Marine. I did because I'm cooler than you guys, because I was a Marine. I'm kidding. I'm teasing you all, particularly you Army guys. I'm better than all of you. I'm teasing. You get mad at me all of a sudden. But my point is, I don't buy the third one at all. First and second one is where I'm between those two. That's my thing, right? I'm between those two. Michael says, I find this quiz to be Marxist and offensive. Michael, it's given a bunch of options. It's not just given one, right? Come on. Jeff says, I have a very large problem with the trans MMA fighter that beats the hell out of women. I forget the name. Already fractured a couple of opponents' skulls. Jeff, it doesn't feel right. I feel like even if it's allowed, right? Even if it's allowed, what kind of person does that? This is why I don't agree with the third one, right? It's progress and it can be recognized. At what cost? I'm recognized as a great MMA fighter by beating the hell out of people who aren't anywhere near as physically strong as I am. That's not I don't want to be recognized for that. You already said it. I feel like the guy's a monster. The gal, sorry, I apologize. The gal's a monster. I feel like she's a monster. I'm with you, Jeff. I am. Benjamin says, if that's okay, allow steroid use. Not that I'm for it. Ooh, Ben, valid point, right? If they're using drugs, if the person is using drugs to deal with their estrogen or testosterone, you can make an argument for steroids too. That's a valid point. You can make it for either. Yes. Dustin says, what about a trans league for sports? Well, the problem is there aren't enough trans people who are athletes. So, I mean, I guess you could do it in theory, but are there enough athletes who are trans you could do it? Is it viable? I don't think it's viable. I don't think it is, at least, right? That's my issue. So, yeah. Ed says, you are cooler. Your dress uniform's nicer than mine in the Army. We do have cool dress uniforms. That's true, Ed. We definitely do. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to stop dodging. I'm going to answer. I'm no for the third. It's the first or second in my case here. I'm going to have to fall to, it's not perfect, but I guess the closest one I'm going to fall back to libertarian views. I just did. I fell back to it. So, yeah. All right. Which of the following, from your point of view, is the most appropriate way to judge people? All right. 1, whether or not they belong to a group that uses oppressive power. No, I would say whether or not they personally are oppressive, not the group thing. I'm not buying it. I can't go with 1. I'm not going with the group thing. No, that's a no on that one. 2, whether or not they belong to a group that is committed to God. See, a group thing again. I'm not going to go with the group thing. I don't think you judge people by the group they belong to, with the exception, there's an exception here. I might judge them by their peer group, meaning the people that they hang around with as individuals. That I might. So when it comes to groups, I might go, you hang around with that guy? I mean, you hang around with Torrance. I don't know if I want I'm teasing you, Torrance. Maybe I don't want to hang out with you. I mean, but you got to be around the people I might as a group, if that makes any sense, but not a group that society says you belong to. I'm not buying that at all. Third, so it goes to the third one. Whether or not someone as an individual is respectful or refrains from harming others. Bingo, easy day. This is the easiest question. That 9 was simple. That was very easy. So, all right. Michael says, I don't really believe in any of this stuff. I think it's absolutely ridiculous and wrong to let biological men compete in women's sports. Well, there's no wrong answer, right? You should go down and say it. Take the test and say what you feel. The reality of it is, Michael, is I know lots of people who feel the same way you do. I do, many of them. My concern is I don't think you or me or anybody should ignore this. This is here. It's with us. And if we're going to get people to think the way we want them to think, or the way you want them to think, or whoever, we got to have conversations. Ignoring it's not going to help, if that makes any sense. So I would ask you, if you're unhappy or you think you may fail the test, take it anyway and share it and have the conversation with people. If they take it, they may say, same thing you just said, hey, Michael is BS, I hate your stuff. They might do that. Or they might go, that one question, it made me think. And that's my hope. Or that one question, I heard my friend say that, or heard my mom or my cousin, my dad say that. I think this gets the conversation going. It's why I bug you on this so much. Why is he always doing quizzes? Because this helps. It has us have the conversation that I want us to have. So, yes. All right. Question 10. When it comes to a woman who accuses a man of sexually assaulting her, we must always, I'm already ready. I'm already in trouble when it goes to always, right? Just seeing the always, I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no. All right. 1, investigate circumstances, such as the extent to which the accuser was being sexually provocative with the accused. Is that saying that maybe, are they saying that the woman actually was consenting and is lying? Or are they saying, well, she asked for it? Is that where they're going with this one? I don't see. There's 2 things on this question that make me I'm concerned about. 1, what we think is assault versus harassment, right? Harassment and assault are 2 separate things, both bad. I'm not saying either is good. This goes back to my old horribleometer, right? You shouldn't be assaulting women. You shouldn't be harassing them either, but assaulting's way worse, right? Me saying bad things to women is bad, and I shouldn't do that. It's a whole lot worse. I'm grabby, touchy. That's way worse. I mean, that's another, I cross one line, now I cross another line. And they're saying assaulting. So I'm going to not go with harassment here. I am going to go to assault here. All right. Because the question is assault. So I'm going to go to someone that is physically, in this case, it is a woman who is accusing a man of physically grabbing her, touching her, something like that, forcing himself upon her. It's not rape, right? Because that would be rape. This is sexual assault. So he's not physically raping her, but he is grabbing her, touching her, whatever the case may be. All right. I don't think a woman ever asks for that. The question would be, was she actually consenting and then angry afterwards, meaning she would be lying, right? So I do think you want to investigate the circumstances because women are humans and they might be lying or coerced or bribed. It's possible. I do believe that most of the time the woman's probably right. I'm just being forward. I think she's usually telling the truth usually, but they're humans. So women could be bribed, coerced, lied, whatever is possible. So let me hold off, and that's a maybe. Next, believe the victims because skepticism only compounds her suffering. Wow. The second piece is true, but I can't just go to the first piece. I mean, I can only imagine. I've obviously never been through this, but I can only imagine if you were actually assaulted by somebody, particularly if there was someone that you cared about or respected, like my Governor Cuomo, how you would feel if people go, it's not true. Cuomo's great. But I don't just want to, I didn't even with Cuomo, you guys saw me. I was like, let's give him his day. Let's do the investigation. Give the guy I was all about due process, and I hate Cuomo. And I was still like, let the investigation come out. Maybe it's a massive conspiracy. Who knows? Give the guy an opportunity to get his side out, and he did, and it was BS, and he was garbage. So while I feel for the woman, I do. You can't just believe. You have to respect, right? You got to respect. That's the issue. It's not believe women. It's respect women and take the accusation seriously, full investigation. I think that's the answer. Take it seriously, right? And full investigation and create an environment that the woman doesn't feel like she shouldn't do it, like she feels like she should do it. Change the environment for sure. That's an issue. All right. Third, assume the man is innocent until proven guilty through due process. Well, there I'm going to both, right? I mean, yeah, the due process part I'm totally on board with, but am I really assuming he's innocent? I wish I could, but I'm human and I'm probably not. I mean, I didn't assume Cuomo was innocent. I mean, I had a feeling he was guilty. I did. But I was like, let's do nothing of anger until we get some due process. So this is a hard one because I don't want to punish the women, but I don't want to punish men either. I do want to investigate, but I don't want to play the, oh, she was asking for it. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to assume he's in. I mean, I should. I have to go with that, don't I? The due process is my entire key. That's my shtick, and it's what I believe in, and that's what I talk about. So I got to go due process. I'm going due process. There we go. Torrance says, I carry consensual consent forms with me. I love it, brother. That's the smart thing. I got to get some too. See if my wife will get one. That's good. I like that. It's good. Absolutely. Michael says, it's hard for women to even report sexual assault or rape. Many never come forward or not until years later. Michael, you're right. And I feel that. I totally feel that. I get it. And I've seen it. I've seen women not want to report, not just because they're afraid that they won't be believed. In fact, the reverse. Sometimes they're afraid that what's going to happen is going to be so hard or so harsh that they're going to punish someone harshly, and then it will affect their career. So some women are worried about not being believed, right? Some women are worried about themselves being, oh, you asked for it or whatever, right? But some are also worried that the damage that they'll do from what happened to them will scar them within their community or within their industry, which also happens, right? Oh, she's a troublemaker, right? She reported on so-and-so, that guy, he was great. We can't hire her. She'll come after us. So I think there's some of that too. There's many reasons, which is why I feel so bad about this. You have to change the environment. You've got to change the environment. That's the issue. But you have a valid point. I'm totally with you. Question 11. Which of the following do you think best explains how opportunities are distributed in today's society? Well, this is a tough one, too. All right. Mostly work ethic and determination. Opportunities tend to flow to those who work hard, but some people are lazier than others. I think that's true. It is, right? I mean, I think most opportunities, right? Not all. Obviously, some people are just lucky. Of course, that happens. Of course, it is. I just can't believe that most people who are successful are just lucky, right? Luck's always a part of success, but it's not necessarily the biggest part. It could be a very small part of your success. I think, what's the old saying? The harder I work, the luckier I get. That's not 100% true because some people work very hard and don't get lucky at all. But I think the smarter you work and the more work ethic and determination you have, the better you bounce back from failures, the luckier you're going to get, right? So I think that part is true, which is why the work ethic does matter. Determination, grit, ability to step up does matter. There's several books on this. I think that's true. Some people are lazier than others. Maybe one. Let me hold off. Let me go to two. Mostly natural talents and educational experience. That's true too. I think natural talent does matter a bit. Educational experience, you can get better at something, right? Just because you're naturally talented doesn't mean you'll become successful, though. Opportunities tend to flow those who apply their natural abilities, which everyone develops. That's also true. I think both of those are true. Man, they're making me think now. Which one's the worst one, right? That's a big issue. Mostly race and privilege. Opportunities tend to flow to those who are white or otherwise born to networks of wealth and influence. If you take away the white part, I think it's true, right? Privilege is a big deal, but it's not always based upon race. Sometimes it is, depending upon the situation, but it's much more based upon the networks of wealth and influence, more than I think it is. But that may be, there's probably more white people who are born into that, but I don't think it's because of being white, if that makes any sense, right? I don't think it's because the person is white. I think more white people are born into that environment. So I think all three of these have some truth. It's a tough one. All right, let me work on. Michael says zip code you grow up in is among the largest determining factors of life chances. Again, change the environment. Michael agreed. Yeah, I think, and that's my point, right? You could be a black person, right, in a white, I'm doing air quotes, zip code, and have a higher chance of being successful. I think all three of these could be true. I don't like the part of adding the white part, but if you take away the white part, I think privilege is a thing. I mean, some people grow up in better zip codes. That's true, but they could be black, Asian, white, and I think by percentage, probably more white people are in those neighborhoods. But it's not because they're white, it's because they're in that neighborhood. Or because of the systems that were in place prior that got them in the neighborhood. If you go back to redlining and subprime mortgages, things like that, I think that will be a part of it, which will take more black people out of those zip codes because of government rules and regulations. Yep, I had to beat up government because I have to. It's my thing. So yes. Torrance says, lol, there's a black privilege when being hot as a pro athlete. Is there? It's funny. I've seen that before, and it can sound something crazy. It's a minor thing. It's a very small thing, but it's funny. Just the story you just brought to my back to my memory. It's a friend of mine who was a designer in New York City, interior designer, and he was a male, but he was straight, and it was one of the only times that being a straight male in the industry was a detriment. People were like, you're not gay? I don't know if I like you. I know it sounds crazy, but the industry is filled with females and gay men. Of course, there are straight male designers, of course, but by percentage, there's a whole lot less of them. So there's a little like a bias against that, right? I've seen, and this will drive some of you crazy, I've seen a pro-Jewish bias for lawyers. I remember specifically a couple of different small firms I was working with who were literally talking about trying to find a stereotypical Jewish sounding name for their lawyers they were going to hire. So if they made them partner, they could have a stereotypical Jewish sounding name in the headlines. It'll be like Smith, Jones, and Greenberg or whatever, right? They were looking for that. Totally off topic, I know, and clearly we don't. This is still discrimination, and specific to industries. But this goes back to your pro athlete, right? Black, designer, gay, lawyer, Jewish. It's very funny that you bring this up. So yes, and Andrea, of course, says the government ruins everything. Correct. Yes, I have to say that. Torrance, environment is greater than culture, greater than race. Yes. Yet again, I agree with you, Torrance. I think you're totally right there. Change the environment is key. And that's why, while I understand the idea of privilege, if they pull the white out, it has merit too. I think all three of these have merit. I don't know which one I want to go with. I'm gonna go. I'm torn on this one, guys. I am really torn on this one. I think I'm gonna go with educational experience, natural abilities. I'm gonna try. That's it's where I went. I'm not sure if that's the right one. I was told between the top two, and the bottom one had some merit also. That was a tough one. Which of the following considerations do you think best explains the average pay disparities between men and women? Ooh, this is a tough one too, right? We hear this all the time. 1, unconscious biases rooted in sexism and traditional gender roles. I think there is a gender role piece. I think there is, but not only in the person doing the hiring, but also in the jobs that we choose, right? Both of those things. I think there is some, right? Males might choose different jobs, and that's changed recently. And I think I'll give a very odd example that maybe people remember. Medical pharmaceutical sales. Sales used to be, prior to pharmaceuticals, heavily male dominated. I mean, it still is more male dominated than female, still is, but it was heavily male dominated. And sales is where you have the best chance of making big cash, right? But once they started doing pharmaceutical sales, where most doctors were males, they were literally trying to hire attractive young women. I'm not making this up. This actually happened. You do your own homework. There's like documentation on it. They were hiring a lot of young females to woo the male doctors into buying and to prescribing the drugs. And much more women came into that role because it was, to be forward, that was sexism, right? I mean, but it was working. It clearly worked. But it was, oh, we'll get the pretty women to woo the older men, and then they'll do that, right? So I think that is true. I think it does happen. So I could see bias on both. There's some validity to this one. All right, next one. Different kinds of choices men and women tend to make. Isn't that kind of the same as the first one? Oh, no. Okay, this is only on choice of work. I was thinking both sides. Okay. Different kinds of choices men and women tend to make, including the choice of work, to work more or fewer hours on the job. I mean, I could see that also, because if you look at it, I think a lot of people now, a lot more women are choosing to make relationships either later in life or not even as important in their life. And I think you're finding that's one of the reasons why the pay gap is starting to get closer. So I think that could be true too. Next, men tend to negotiate more aggressively for their salaries due to biological difference between men and women on average. Men negotiate more aggressively for, this is the Jordan Peterson argument, right? That women are more agreeable. I haven't seen that. This one I hear about often, but I haven't seen that, right? I've seen women, and literally I've been a boss. I've had a female-dominated sales force. I know it sounds weird that I talk about men being males, but I've actually been in businesses where the sales force is dominated, and the women were not at all shy about. But then again, it was a sales force, so maybe that's a self-selection of women. So maybe my view is biased, because the women that I was dealing with as my juniors in this case, they were all salespeople. So by default, they're going to be a bit more forward and aggressive. So this could be self-selection. Yeah, I have a trouble buying the third one only because of my own personal experiences. So I'm not sure. I'm a little bit turned to maybe. Torrance says, is real estate not female dominated? I think it is. And boy, realtors are hardcore. Have you seen realtors negotiate? I'm not buying the third one. It's one or two. It's not the third one. I'm not buying that one. It's not that, right? Absolutely. So, Deb says, my mother-in-law was just in the pay negotiation and she was told that she didn't need more because she wasn't the breadwinner. Wow. I was super surprised that kind of thing was still spoken in 2021. Deb, you just blew my mind. I would never imagine. I couldn't imagine saying that to one of my employees. I could never. First off, I wouldn't think it no matter what, right? First off, I don't care about the need. That isn't the issue, right? If you're working for me, Deb, it's not your need. It's what value are you bringing, what are you worth, and how much am I going to pay to get what you give me? Your need is irrelevant, right? I mean, that shouldn't be part of our deal. It should be, you're good at what you do. I need that skill set. So here's the money that I think I should give you to get that skill set. I mean, I feel like that's how I've done. I mean, the situation I was talking about was a woman who I actually wound up giving her a serious, like a 5-figure raise, because the skill set she had was one that I couldn't find anyplace else, and I needed her, and she was good at what she did. So I gave her a large raise, and she negotiated pretty hard, but she was happy. We were good. We're still friends today. We're still Facebook friends. This was probably, I don't know, 7 years ago, more. So yeah, I'm shocked that I feel like you've made this up. I'm not saying you did, Deb, but it feels like an anachronism, right? Like this couldn't have, you mean that was like 1971 that happened, right? Not 2021. Wow. Well, maybe number one, this unconscious bias thing is real, right? Maybe it is one. Maybe it's one. Andrea says, there was an article I read, the jobs that women choose. Also, jobs women tend to choose have better benefits. Do they count those benefits in the gap? Oh, good question. Are we talking pay or are we talking overall compensation? That's a good question. If we count overall compensation, does that change? Michael says, I don't know. All the women in my family make more money than I do. See, Michael, it's not just me, right? It's not just me. Yes. So, yeah. Shelley says, real estate is dominated by women, but that's changing rapidly as people move across state lines, so the money is better. Also true, Shelley. I think you're right. Absolutely. Yes. So, Shelley can't believe it. They still say that? Me too. I'm like, what? I feel, Deb, I'm just teasing you, but I feel like you just made it up. Like you're like, I'm going to get Larry, right? Right? That's right. So then Deb goes, I know her boss should have gotten fired. Yes, absolutely. Deb now also says, my personal experience is that my pay disparity wasn't based on my gender. I think it's been more employer pay strategy. Oh, maybe. Okay. Andrew says, this argument drives me nuts. Where are all the female coal miners at? Women have different affinity for different jobs. It's a valid point, right? This is why I'm saying the choices piece here, and this is where the language is confusing for me, right? Is the unconscious bias only on the part of the employer or also on the part of the employee, right? I'm not sure that women are actually, it's going to sound crazy, choosing to not be coal miners. I mean, they are, but probably employers aren't, I'm going to assume this to be true, probably aren't marketing to women to be coal miners, and women probably aren't looking to be coal miners. Like, it's probably not even in their mindset, like, I should be a coal miner. I would bet the vast majority of women aren't trying to become coal miners. They're not promoting, they're not going after them, right? So I think that's probably a two-way issue on the unconscious bias that we have in ourselves. Yeah, but one also brings up sexism. How can it be unconscious bias and sexism? Right? I mean, I guess it could be, but the outcome would be sexist then. But the outcome of unconscious bias could be sexist. But that doesn't make the person sexist, right? Or does it? I think no. If it's unconscious, the person isn't sexist. The person has traditional ideas or bad habits that would create sexist outcomes, which might be something like cultural or systemic. I'm going to go with 2. I could see 1 or 2 in this one. I don't see the 3 one at all. I don't see that at all. I can go 1 or 2. I'm going to go 2. I guess I'm doing I'm doing the more the safer bet. Am I being too safe? Should I be a bit more edgy? Maybe. Question 13. Which of the following most closely aligns with your beliefs about white supremacy? I hate the phrase white supremacy. I can't stand the phrase. It just makes everybody feel bad. Like this, you can't say the phrase white supremacy and anyone go, yay! Like everyone feels bad. What a terrible phrase to use. It's a bad phrase. All right, so what am I going to think about white supremacy? Number 1, white supremacy is largely a myth created by the social justice movement. It's largely a myth. Created by the social Torrance thinks it's a myth. He actually put it literally in caps. White supremacy is a myth. I guess that's the one you're clicking, Torrance. That's funny. Okay. I'm not sure I can go there yet. I got to read the rest because the problem is the phrase white supremacy incorrect? It is. And that's my point, right? There are disadvantages that have been systemic through government for decades, through centuries. I can't even go through centuries that have made many people downtrodden. Attacks on Native Americans, slavery, redlining, segregation, Chinese immigration laws. I mean, insert thing here. But calling that white supremacy is the wrong phrase, if that makes any sense. But the concept that government has created policies that have hurt the other, and the other has rarely been the white population, that's true. That has actually happened. You can see it from every group. The 2 worst are Native Americans and Black Americans. But you've seen it through Hispanics, you've seen it through Asians, you've seen that happen. Here or there, you've seen it happen in other areas. Yeah. I can't go myth, though. I don't think it's a myth. I can't go there. But it's not what people think it is. All right, next one. White supremacy is a view held by a relatively small group of racists that make a lot of noise. I think that's true, too. Yes, I think that's true, too. Yes. White supremacy is everywhere and includes everyone who doesn't self-identify as anti-racist. I can't buy that one either. That's not true. It isn't everywhere. The average American actually doesn't care at all about race. There are racists. Don't get me wrong. There are racists. They exist. The average American isn't, though. The average American is just some guy or gal trying to, move through life. That's the average. So I can't go with 1 or 3. I guess I have to go with 2, I guess. Redlining. Redlining was when the government literally stopped Black people only from living in certain neighborhoods by not authorizing specialized mortgages in those neighborhoods, and then literally stopping others from getting mortgages if Black people were in those neighborhoods. So literally, and this is, if you care, I did a Juneteenth special last year. Last year, you check it out. So my Juneteenth special, I explained how it worked. The government basically said, okay, after World War II and all these times, we're going to give out these mortgages, and they had a percentage. And I actually show the documents, these are government documents, Gene, that said you can have a certain percentage of Jews, a certain percentage of Italians, a certain percent of Irish, and 0 black families. It was literally the government doing this. And the problem is people have said, see, there were racist people who did this. No, the people weren't racist, meaning the individual mortgage broker or the individual individual real estate broker, they weren't trying to be racist. They were trying to sell houses and mortgages. The government wouldn't allow them to. So they were by default racist because of the government. So the outcome was racist. The system was racist. So it didn't matter who the people were. If that makes any sense. That's what redlining is. It's like segregation laws. Do you think every person in the South was like, I don't want black people in my in my store? Of course not. They want to make money. But the government said you may not do it. So it made the people by default racist because of the government rules. I hope that makes sense, Gene. That's what redlining is. So yes. So everyone's doing option 2. Yes, I know, option 2. What a question. I know, Jack. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Long Island was redlined. Hard. You're correct. Absolutely. Yes. Went with 2. Everyone's going with 2. Yeah, I'm going with 2. I'm going with 2. 2 it is. All right. Question 14. Which of the following most closely aligns to your beliefs about whiteness? Oh, they're doing the whiteness thing. All right. Man, the whiteness thing. There's another thing. Why would you use that word? Of all the words to use, they chose that word, right? They chose that word, whiteness. But people talk about it. I see it all the time, right? And I got to tell you, if I can't stand the whiteness word, but if I had a choice between white supremacy and whiteness, I'll go with whiteness, right? I mean, I'd rather use that one because white supremacy by default makes everybody feel bad. And by default, whiteness, at least with whiteness, as bad as it is, and again, I'm not saying this is a good phrase. I'm just saying that whiteness is better than, because I can divvy it away from the person, right? I can go, okay, it's a thing. White is not you. I'm not saying white guy bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this thing is bad. So it's better. And that's not better. It's wrong. We're going back to our horribleometer again. It's less horrible than white supremacy. White supremacy is a terrible phrase. Whiteness is bad, just not as bad as white supremacy. So I know, Michael, I'm happy you're still here. I thought maybe you might fall out of your chair and just explode and run away. Thank you for staying. Because people are talking about this. They're talking about it. Just they are. All right. Whiteness is a characteristic of ethnicity, but the term tends to divide more than it unites people. I mean, that's true. So 1 is yes, for sure 1. Let's keep going. Whiteness is a set of cultural characteristics that leads to the oppression of minorities, often in subtle ways. That's a better definition because now at least you're saying cultural characteristics, not white man bad. So that's better. Better. Okay. The top 2 we can. There's chunks of both of them. Can't we mix the top 2? Let's mix the top 2 because that will be good. We should say it's a set of cultural characteristics that tends to divide more than unite. See, if they had that one, if you could mix 1 and 2, I'd check that one in a heartbeat. All right, 3. Whiteness is an unscientific way of putting certain people into racial categories, and the term perpetually perpetuates racial division. Yes to all 3 of these. Yes to all 3 of them. Man. Yes to all 3. This is a tough one for me. I don't know where I go on this one here. Right? Each one has something good in it that I would buy. It does unite. It does divide. It's way better as a cultural characteristics than anything else. And it's unscientific. And it perpetuates racial division. I want all 3 of these. Man. I don't know which one to pick. Nazim says, I picked one. I could see one. I could see one. Check 3. I could see 3. Absolutely. Man, they got me thinking here. Jack's like, this is like Trump or Biden. Nice, Jack. I appreciate that. Yes. Oh my God. I'm caught in this one. It does tend to divide more than unite. That's for sure. It is unscientific. That's all. I could see 1 or 3 easily. I mean, it's cultural characteristics is better, but you know what? I'm not going to go with 2. I'm not going to go with 2. I'm going to go with 1 or 3. Yeah. I don't know which one to put. Oh man, I'm torn on this one. One is the characteristic of ethnicity, but the term tends to divide. It is. Ethnicity is better than race, right? That's why I like that one too. Ethnicity is better than race, right? That's why I was like the cultural characteristics is better than saying it's race. So I'm glad about that. One is another way of putting certain people into racial categories. I'm going to go with 3. I'm going to go with 3. I could have gone with 1 though. I could have gone with 1. I maybe could have gone with 2 because of the way it was better. I went with 3. I don't know if that was good or bad. I went with 3. All right. Which of the following most closely aligns with your beliefs about true feminism? Oh, they hit us with feminism now. All right. Said this one's going to work. True feminism is a commitment to respecting all women's personal and professional life choices, so long as each honors her agreement and harms no other. Oh, I like that one. Oh, that's real good. I like that one a lot. I already like this one. Good. Okay. 2, true feminism is a commitment to the idea that women should have equal access to all positions of power, authority, and leadership in society. Equal access. I think that's awesome. Yeah, this is good too. I like that, right? Women should have access. We shouldn't force them. But yeah, I like that. True feminism is a commitment to honoring the characters of women that make them best into certain kinds of roles in society and the family. I can't buy 3. It's 1 or 2. True feminism is a commitment to respecting all women's personal and professional life choices. Each honors agreement and harms no other. That's a good one. Commitment to the idea that women should have equal access to those in power. I do. I think, look, and I'm saying the word access here for 2, right? I don't want government to say you need to be this or percentage of that. But I do want to make sure that government removes all barriers so that those women who want to move into power can, right? So I could go 1 or 2, but I do want women to have access to options of power, authority. I want them to be able to move up if they want to. I don't want any barriers at all. I'm going to go with 2 on this one. All right, what'd you guys go with here? I picked 1 on feminism. Torrance did. The Shadow Warden said 2. Yep. Government, they mess everything up. Yeah, true. All right, 16. When it comes to gender reassignment surgery for minors, which of the following is closest to your view? Yeah, this is a real, see, this is good stuff. This really is like questions people are asking right now. All right. The appropriate age a young person is capable of making such a decision should be left to common law courts. These courts determine criteria for a minor's agency, as well as responsibility/liability for parents and medical professionals. Yeah, okay. So meaning like local courts could decide similar to age of consent. I'm open to that. Okay, next. Only fully developed adults are capable of making rational decisions about gender reassignment surgery, and this fact should be laid out clearly to legislators. Ooh, see, I like the first part of that, but I don't like the second part of that. But I get it, right? I'm one of the guys who says literally, this is about consenting adults, right? And I know, I definitely understand the issue that people will tell me, and the pushback I get on this is, but Larry, if you stop a kid from going through puberty, they are going to be, this, that, and the other. I get it. But I just can't see. I mean, I have 2 kids. I have an 11-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I just can't see my kids. And maybe maybe this is my personal experience. I can't see my kids making a decision like this that will literally affect every part of their life for the rest of their life. It will affect every part of their life. I mean, who they marry, who they mate with, if they can mate, if they can have children, all these things are going to be affected by someone who is literally a child, who can't smoke, who can't drink. Yeah, I'm not sure. I hate the part laid out clearly. That's the part, because that's libertarian to me. That goes, oh, I don't like that part. I do like why can't you do the first one, then go to the common law courts, right? Again, I want to mix 1 and 2. If I can mix 1 and 2, I'm good. I want to mix 1 and 2 together. Let me check 3. Once a child has expressed and settled on his or her or their preferred gender identity, it is important to help them transition as early as medically advisable. I totally disagree on that one. I can't do 3. And I know some of you will be unhappy when I say that, and I'm sorry, but I'm just being forward with you. I disagree, right? I think there's a difference between gender affirmation and gender acceptance. And I'll be clear, or gender tolerance or acceptance versus affirmation. And here's my feeling. And again, I know some of you will be unhappy, but I'm just telling, I'm not going to lie to you on how I feel, even if some of you get upset. And many of you have been mad at me in the past, I know. If my daughters come to me and say, Daddy, I think I'm a boy, or Daddy, I don't know if I'm a girl or not, or Daddy, I think I'm gay, or Daddy, I'm whatever. And I can't tell you what, but some of those types of things have already happened in my life. My daughters go to New York City schools. You can imagine. So that's already happened. And all I said was, okay, sweetheart, that's awesome. You have your homework today? Great, sweetheart. Go to school. Wonderful. What's for dinner? That's all I did. I didn't say, you're right. You're a boy now. Let's get you surgery. It's not what I said. I said, okay, great. Go on. Do your thing. Move on. That was it. I didn't get mad at them. I wasn't happy. I was like, great. If you're whatever, fine. I don't care if you never said anything or told me everything. Okay, let's move on. And in my specific situation, I'm saying this is anecdotal. It's only my children. So far, it's turned into nothing. It was something they talked about. And that's it. So I can't go with 3. And maybe my personal experience biases me. But I let my kids be them. I don't affirm or deny. I just go, great. You are who you are. I love you no matter what. Let's go. I don't give them extra attention for it or less attention for it. Nothing's changed. So that's where I am here. And I don't know. So Dustin says, kids change their minds all the time. This is true. Yes. Jack says they need to decide. Yes. Yes. If I get it right. Amberlamp says, I choose 2, but didn't like this question. Yeah, right. That's the part. That part, the answer laid out clear by legislators. That always scares me. That's the part I don't like. Yes. Torrin says, it's a great response to your children exploring themselves, Larry. Yes, just let them be who they're going to be. Yes, absolutely. David, legislators is killing me on 2. David, that's the libertarian in us right now. We're like, wait, I don't like that part. Yes, I don't like that part. John says, all in on 2. The cartoon Pinocchio has the guy rounding up all the bad kids and them into donkeys. That there are people pushing gender on young adults for non-honest reasons. I think that there's part of that too, John. I agree. It's the legislation piece that bugs me, right? That's the piece that bugs me right there. Yes, it's just the legislation. But I'm gonna go with 2 though. I'm gonna go with 2. And fully developed. They mean age. God, see, I could go 1, right? If you're using age of consent. Right, most is 16, 17. Yeah, are we going 6? That's my only word. Are we going 16, 17? Then are we waiting to adults? I got to go 2. I'm torn. I could go 1 on this, but I'm going to go with 2. I hate the legislative part, but I'm going to go with 2. Intersectionality is an analytical framework for understanding how aspects of a person's social and political identities combine to create different modes of discrimination and privilege. Which of the following is closest to your view on intersectionality? All right. Intersectionality is a necessary lens through which to see goals of social justice, because it helps oppressed groups see what they all have in common. I think that is true. That's true. That's accurate. It is, right? If you're a woman and you're gay, right? Then there are, right, two separate pieces there. If you're black and you're old, right? You old people, anyone 20 years older than me is old, then you've got two of those. I think that's true. All right, there's some validity. I like number one. Okay, yes. Intersectionality is a major aspect of cultural Marxism. It threatens Western values and civility. No, it's not that bad. That's not true. That's not true. I mean, that's not true. No, it doesn't threaten Western values. It doesn't. That two is not true. It's not two. That's not true. Three, intersectionality is ultimately a political strategy to forcibly redistribute political power and financial benefits based on perceived group victimhood status. I think that goes too far. There is a little bit of that, though, right? There's a little bit of that. This I'm torn between 1 and 3. 2 is a no. It's that goes too far. There's a little bit of 3. There's a little bit, and I don't like that. I got to go with 1 on this. I got to go with 1 on this one. I could go 3 a little bit. 2's too far. 1 it is. All right. Torrance says, I chose option 1, but don't necessarily like the word oppressed. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Yes, that's true. Yes. So that's good. 3 is the fear, isn't it? That's what I'm saying, David. There's something to 3. You're right. There's something to it. That's not just made up. There's something to 3, but I think 1 is the answer. That's my view. But there is something to 3. There's something to it. All right. Next, question 18. Which of the following most closely aligns with your beliefs about racism? Select 1. All right. Racism is a big problem. White people will have to do the work of understanding their privilege, as well as the conscious and unconscious biases against people of color. Otherwise, we need to enact policies that purge our system of white supremacy. Not 1. No to 1. It's not 1. Right? That's for sure. It's not 1. It is a problem. That's true. And white people should, but not just white people. Everybody should, not must. And there's a big difference between must and should. Big difference between must and should. We all should. White people too. You all should. Me too. All should try to understand our unconscious biases. Of course we should. Absolutely we should. But no, it's not a will or have to or must. No. And we don't have to enact policies to purge people. So no on 1. That's for sure. 2, racism exists. That's true. People of all colors and backgrounds must practice seeing themselves and other individuals to be judged by the content of their character. I like this so far. I will go, okay, I'm liking 2. Otherwise, we need to reform laws that exacerbate social problems, such as the drug war. They got me in the drug war. I'm like, yeah, see? 2 already got me, and then the drug war. That's not fair, because I'm going to jump on 2 because drug war. But let me keep going. Racism is a minor issue. That's true. But it is an issue. I want to be clear. Racism exists, and everyone to think racism doesn't exist. It's just not as big as people are saying it is, but it does exist. It is a thing. People need to see themselves and others first and foremost as patriotic citizens of the same country. Yeah, Dad, patriotic. You don't have to be patriotic. I think we are countrymen, if that's true, but you're not required to be patriotic. I mean, it's nice if people are patriotic. It's a nice thing, but you don't have to be. Otherwise, you need to reform laws that keep people dependent on welfare and other government programs. I think that's true, but then how is that racism? Yeah, no, that racism isn't about welfare and government that's not, no, it's 2. 2 is what it is. It's 2. Ooh, get my results. All right, hold on. Let me get my results here. See if I can do this here. You guys can see what I'm doing here. Hold on. Let's see here. I'm not giving you guys my email address. That's why I'm doing this. You guys can get mad at me. I'm not giving you my email address. You'll be emailing me all day, so I got to do that one separately. And you should put your email address in. Yes. Here, if I do this, there we go. I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it. All right, here I am. Now I'm going to show you my my results. And libertarian, shocker. Ooh, but I'm a little bit towards progressive and moderate. Am I progressive? I guess towards this I am. Usually I come up a little bit towards conservative or in the middle. This time I came up towards progressive. Look at that. I'm turning liberal, guys. Watch out. Teasing, obviously, but yeah, that's good. So I just thought you guys might enjoy that. Show us your password. No, you can't do that. So no, I'm not showing you my passwords. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna share it right now. Hold on. I'm gonna share on Facebook right now. Did I share? I think I did. I hope I did. Let me tweet. I'm trying to share my results if I can. I don't know if I can. I have to cut and paste it then instead. All right. Anyway, my point is, that liberal. I'm out. Yeah, I became a liberal, Tom. Look at that. I went like a click to the left on this one. Oh my God. So yeah. But the funny thing is, if you look at these questions, I'm torn many times, right? You can see that I'm torn, right? I could have gone either way many times. I think it looks like I leaned left one time more than I leaned right. That's my assumption here that I did it. As I was going back and forth, I leaned left one time more than I leaned right. So yeah, it's just how it works. What are you going to do? I like John's teasing me. Larry Sharpe liberal at status.com. It's true. I've become a status. Don't take these tests. They turn you into status. I'm kidding. So yes. Joshua says you could just hit cancel results anyway. Yes, but I would like to give the advocates my email so they can send me stuff because I care about the advocates. So Joshua, I would like to do that. I would like you to do that also. So yes. Yeah. I know, John, you're kidding. I know. It's all good, brother. I'm totally cool with it. All good. Yes. So Gene says, last one of these tests I took indicate that I'm a liberal libertarian. I like that. Look at you. Liberal libertarian, Gene. I like it. It's good. There we go. We're all commies and status now. That's it. That's what happens. Nazim, commie alert. Appreciate that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this stuff. If you do, then do me a favor. Support the show. Support it by liking, commenting, and sharing. It's how I get around. We talk about the media doing that. It's how I get around the media, right? It's by liking, commenting, sharing, and that's how people see it, and they get out, and it works. That's what we do. If you got some cash, then support directly, right? Head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Throw me $10 a month so I can keep doing this. And of course, what I've been asking you the entire show, and I'll keep bugging you, take the survey and share it. Let people know that it's working. All right, guys, we'll say thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate the time that you spent with me. I will be in Montana this weekend, raising money for the Montana Libertarian Party. So if you happen to be in Montana this weekend, come see me if you happen to be in Montana. Otherwise, I'll be out this weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Guys, have a great weekend.